Welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, RJ Carbone. You are listening to BD4, where there's no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. We also do MMA. Yanks every series, Knicks every game, MMA on occasion. Let's get to it.
Anthony for three. That one goes down, and the game is tied.
I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody.
The Yankees are champions of baseball.
Shaking and baking right here on the neophyte.
Trying to close the show. She was doing a great job of feeding. That is over.
Coming up, so Yankee. Don't you regret not coming to the Knicks? Don't you regret not coming to the Knicks?
Game over. World Series over. Yankees win. The Yankees win.
All right. Welcome to the show, episode 709 of the podcast. Appreciate you all tuning in. Welcome to BD4, where there's no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. Yanks every series, Knicks every game, MMA on occasion. Just the mic here. I'm your host, RJ. I appreciate you all tuning in here to the podcast for episode 709. And yes, the Yanks have promoted Jason Dominguez, and they promote him, and they win 2 out of 3. So we'll discuss this series in this show. A big series win in the Bronx over Kansas City. You know, we will get into it all. First of all, before we dive into the Yankees stuff, yesterday, now I'm recording this on Thursday the 12th, Thursday morning. So it should be out later in the day before this Red Sox series begins. But yesterday was September 11th, obviously. Just real briefly, want to give my thoughts and prayers to the families still grieving and those who have, or those who did lose their loved ones in that event. It's crazy, man. It is unbelievable to me. It's hard to fathom that it's already been 23 years. Time just flies by, but that should be something that we never forget, and something that I still remember everything. Like, I still remember I was in elementary school. I was in either the first or second grade, but I'm in class. And I remember my teacher at the time, Mrs. Gibney, we were doing like we had the second graders come in, we had the third grade. There's like a big class thing. A couple other ages came in, and we were doing some kind of group thing. But she was reading to or talking to us, and then she gets a phone call. You know, there used to be phones in the classroom. She gets a phone call, and she tells me, Robert, go to the office. Your parents are coming to pick you up, or your mother's coming to pick you up. And, you know, I'm a kid, you know, so the first thing I'm thinking is, wow, I get to go home. So my mother picks me up, I go home, and again, they're watching TV. The TV's on in the living room, and, you know, I'm just sitting here. I see it. You know, I see they're showing footage of what happened, but I don't, you know, whatever. Plane crash. I'm thinking just, you know, whatever. And I asked my mom, I'm like, Mom, can I go play with Mikey next door? You know, he's one of my neighbors at the time. He was, you know, one of the older neighbors who I used to play ball with. And she's like, no, he's not home. And, you know, I just thinking everybody was out of school or something. And I don't know what's going on. And so I just, you know, it didn't hit me. It really didn't hit me until like a couple of days later, when there's a route that we drive through to go home. And you can see it's going down a hill, and you can literally see the New York City skyline when you're driving down this road. I live like in New Jersey, but it's like on the edge of Jersey. So New York City is right next to me. So on this road, you can see the skyline. And when I tell you for months, that there was still dust and smoke lingering in the air that we saw from our hometown in Jersey every single day for months, it was crazy. And so that's when it started to hit me. And I just, every time I go down that road now, every time I'm in the car passing down that road and I look at the skyline, and it just gets me to think about 9/11 every single time. I think it's also really neat and just a perfect tribute that they do the two silhouettes every single September 11th. So I always look for that in the sky every year too. But yeah, that's kind of how I remember it going down here. But yes, of course, to everybody who lost people that day, nobody's ever going to forget this, and nobody should. So let's get to break. And when we wrap up from break, we're going to start this episode. We'll talk some Yankees, Royals, where the Yanks took 2 out of 3. We'll be right back.
Hey there, thanks for listening in so far. If you enjoyed this episode, please give us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. And if you're on YouTube, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks so much.
Okay, welcome back to the show, episode 709. The Yanks promote The Yanks promote JD and beat KC. Good win for the Yankees, man. Good series win. This is 2 straight series wins. So wins in 4 of their last 6. But this is 2 out of 3 against a really good ball club. First of all, this entire series had a playoff vibe to it. This is a potential postseason matchup. If things shake up the way that they do, it could be Yankees Royals. That didn't make sense, but you know what I'm trying to say. Kansas City's a good team. Honestly, if I'm going to be blunt here, this is the team I see coming out of the American League, to be honest. I mean, it's close with them, and I think the Yankees have a good shot, obviously, but this is the team who, yes, their bullpen sucks, so that might be the downfall of them. But they do have an elite top 3 in their rotation. I don't think anybody's eager to face Lugo, Reagans, and Singer in a playoff series. I can't imagine anybody's eager to face any of them. And if we're sitting here as Yankees fans with arguably the best lineup in baseball, not wanting to face those 3 guys, I don't know that anybody else is going to be eager to face them either. They have a really, really good top 3. They have a solid lineup. They have a really solid lineup. Guys who know how to hit. They got Bobby Witt. They've got obviously Salvi Perez. They've got Vinny Pasquantino, who I think is currently hurt, but he'll be back soon. They've got good guys up and down that lineup who can produce offense. And they're great fundamentally, right? They're very fundamentally sound. They have speed. They're great on the base paths. They can play defense. They've always been that type of team, but now they've got some pop, and they've got if they're going to win it, they're going to do it behind their rotation. So it's a really good team that I think has a shot to come out of the American League. This is my sleeper team, if you can call them a sleeper team anymore, in the American League. They're a good team. The Yankees, though, did take 2 out of 3, which is why that was impressive. So you look at the standings now, and with Boston beating Baltimore last night, the Yankees are now back up by 2 games in the loss column over Baltimore. So the Yankees sit in first place in the East at 84-62. That's a .575 win percentage. Baltimore's in second at 83-64, so a game and a half back overall. And then Boston sits in third, who the Yanks are playing next, at 74-72, 10 games back of them. So those are the American League East standings right now. Good to see the Yanks take 2. So let's dive in. Before we do get into the series, let's get into some in-house stuff really briefly. Jason Dominguez, obviously, as we said, as you know by now, has been promoted. He was promoted, played 2 games in this series. So it's good to see him back. Hopefully he plays every day the rest of the fucking way. DJ LeMahieu, with the promotion to Dominguez, was put on the DL with this is the most air quotes thing ever, right hip impingement. So if you are listening to the podcast and not watching, I am air quoting that. Obviously, this is the most fake DL thing in the world. Nobody in their mind is going to believe that Jason Dominguez is only here because DJ LeMahieu was hurt. This is obviously just the Yankees being afraid to hurt feelings and ruffle feathers in the clubhouse because DJ is a respected veteran. This is how they do things, right? So they put him on the phantom DL. Boone says he's probably not going to be back the rest of the season. I can't imagine that you're going to see DJ LeMahieu stand in the box again for the Yankees. I think this is it for him. I think sometime in the winter they're going to DFA him. If not, then it's going to be early spring training. So he's probably done for the year. Most likely done for for his Yankees career. And Boone said that Cabrera will now serve as the backup first baseman the rest of the way, which is good. John Birdie is back up with the squad. He appeared in Game 3 yesterday as a pinch runner. And Ian Hamilton is back up with the squad. He's off the injured list. Excuse me, finished rehabbing, and he appeared in Game 1, Monday's game. So that's it. This is your Yankees team. This is your fully healthy Yankees team. This is the team you're going to see the rest of the way now. So that's that. Let's start, as a matter of fact, since we're getting into the first game of the set, let's start by tipping our cap right away to Carlos Rodon, because I thought he was brilliant in Game 1 on Monday. I'm sorry to all my AirPod users. I haven't fixed that audio. I know it's extremely loud. Let me do that now. It's so loud. I keep forgetting to fix it. Carlos Rodon, tipping my cap to him in Game 1 on Monday. In this game, he goes 6 innings, 4 runs, 3 earned runs, 6 hits, a walk, 9 strikeouts, 2 home runs, 98 pitches, and unfortunately gets a no decision in a 10-4 victory. I really wanted them to get 20 wins. That's not going to happen anymore. You can still get close. But took a no decision, which really hurt. Top of the first inning, he gets no help from third base, no help from catcher. You had Jazz Chisholm start the game off with an E5 on a throwing error. That puts Pham on first base with nobody out. And then Salvi Perez comes up to the plate with 1 out a little later on and picks up an RBI base hit. In the middle of this at-bat, Pham steals second base. Austin Wells makes a throwing error. Pham gets to third. So that's how Salvi got the RBI. It's 1-0 Royals after 1. Top 3, it was just some mislocation. Salvi Perez at the plate. Rodon gives him a curveball up and out. Salvi gets the bat on it. It's 2-0. Solo home run. Top 5, again, some more poor defense, this time on the right side. With the Yankees up 3-2 in the inning, Bobby Witt picks up a 2-out base hit, and then Salvi Perez pops it up to the right side. Torres and Soto kind of screw that up. Torres lets the ball drop. I think Torres probably should have had it. I also think Soto should have took charge of it. So you can blame both of them there, but the ball drops between them, and it's an RBI base hit for Salvi to tie the game at 3. And then top of the 6th inning, the only other run off Rodon just leaves a changeup up. So it's a bad changeup to Renfroe, who picks up a leadoff home run and makes it 4-3 Royals. But at the end of the day, he pitched very well. His defense failed him. It's just the only thing, the home run ball is starting to get a little worrisome. I think he's allowed 28 home runs so far in the season. More specifically, he's allowing 1.6 home runs per 9, which is among the worst in the MLB. It's up there. That's, you're thinking about the postseason ball. That's not a stat you want to be up there in. But Carlos Rodon is. He throws a lot of fastballs, so, But the good from this outing is he struck out 9 batters, and the Royals are a very good contact hitting team. But Carlos Rodon had his stuff. His stuff looked pretty nasty in this game. The velo was good. He was pumping it up there early. The off speed was good. The breaking stuff was good. Of the 98 pitches, he threw 54 seamers, 21 sliders. So the usual, but then he went 18 changeup, 9 curve. The change and curveballs were all to right-handed hitters. The slider and change, he got a lot of whiffs with them, 2 pitches. But I thought he did a very nice job with the fastball, setting up the off speed. Yeah, he's been good, man. He's doing exactly, listen, the Yankees signed Rodon on a $162 million contract to eat innings and punch tickets. That's why they signed him. And he's been doing exactly that. He's not having the best regular seasons with them, and I don't think he's going to be that ace, just in terms of numbers that he puts up from April to September. But he's eating innings, he's giving you starts, and that's important. And he's punching tickets. And listen, at the end of the day, all that matters is they really signed him, to be honest, to do the job in the postseason. So if he does his job in the playoffs and he gives them good starts in the postseason, that's all that matters. If he does 6 innings, 2 runs in the postseason, then the contract's a huge win. Look at Giancarlo Stanton. I think, in my opinion, if Giancarlo Stanton goes out there again this postseason and he has another good playoff, people are going to start to change their heads around it, change their opinions on him. It's all that matters in the Bronx, is if you do it in October, they forget about all the other bullshit. And it works the other way around too, but that's it. If Rodon does a job in the playoffs, that's all that matters. Look at A.J. Burnett. I saw somebody make a good comparison between Rodon and Burnett. I was listening to a podcast the other day after Rodon's start, and, Yankees fans look at Burnett as not the worst signing in the world or acquisition in the world, because he was a signing, wasn't he? Because he did the job in Game 2 of that World Series, right? He's looked at in a positive light, more than he would have been if he didn't do that. It's all about postseason moments. So if you come through in spots in the playoffs, nobody cares about your inconsistencies in the regular season. So that's all that Rodon has to do. He still has a chance to really buy Yankees fans over. I will say that in the playoffs, I could see Rodon either getting the whole fan base behind him and just making this one big, comeback story from what happened last year to now, or I can see this being really ugly after the postseason. I don't think there's going to be an in-between after October with Carlos Rodon. I think Yankees fans are going to have their opinions set. That's what I will say. But good job for Rodon. Tipping my cap to him. He now has, let's see if I can find it here, 11 salutes on the season. So good for him. He's pitched fine. But yeah, the rest of this game, again, where the Yankees won 10-4, the bullpen went 3 innings after Rodon. Cousins pitched 1 inning, no runs, a walk, 2 strikeouts. He pitched twice in this series. Much better in the first game here. He looked filthy in this game. He has the best slider from a righty relief pitcher since Dellin, in my opinion. That thing is filthy. And when you complement that with a 2-seam, that I think my favorite sequence in baseball is what Cousins has. 2-seam slider to a right-handed hitter. That is such a tough sequence to have to hit on. You have to hit on a 2-seam coming in your hands, and then after that, you got to worry about that slider going away. That is such a tough sequence to hit, and Jay Cousins has mastered that with the Yankees this year. So credit to him, credit to Matt Blake for really getting it to work. Luke Weaver pitched after him for an inning. No runs, a hit, a walk, 2 strikeouts. Got the win in this game. We'll talk about him later. Ian Hamilton appeared in his first game back. He pitched an inning, no runs, a strikeout. He looked very sharp. It was very positive seeing him constantly throwing 97, 98. That's the Ian Hamilton we saw last year. And then offensively, the Yankees against Singer and the KC bullpen finished with 10 runs on 12 hits, 4 extra base hits, 7 walks, 6 strikeouts. Let me go to here. 6 strikeouts, 2 double plays hit into. They were 5 for 13 with runners in scoring position. Against Singer specifically, they got 3 runs on him in 5 innings. The bottom of the 4th inning with the Royals up 2-0. Dominguez picked up his first hit with a 1-out ground ball single past shortstop. Rizzo comes to the plate, moves him to second base with a 4-3 ground out, and then Cabrera draws a walk. But in the middle of the at-bat for Cabrera, that's when Dominguez uses his speed to score a run. He steals third base. Salvi makes a throwing error. The ball gets by third base. Dominguez scores to make it 2-1 KC. And then the very next at-bat, Alex Verdugo picks up a 2-run home run off a hanging slider. He takes this to right center field and gives the Yankees a 3-2 lead. So that was nice. Bottom 7 with Kansas City up 4-3 against their bullpen. Torres picks up a single off of MacArthur. Soto draws a walk after him. Judge, after Soto, picks up an RBI base hit to tie the game at 4. You get a mound visit. And then Austin Wells comes to the plate, gets a fastball low and in, and he takes it 404 feet to right center. This was a blast, deep into the sky, and 3-run home run to make it 7-4 Yankees. And then bottom 8, Cabrera picks up a leadoff double off of Stratton. Verdugo comes to the plate. He singles to put runners on first and third with nobody out. And then Torres, leading off, picks up an RBI base hit to make it 8-4 Yankees. Soto draws a walk to load the bases with 1 out. Judge grounds into a double play that does score Verdugo to make it 9-4. And then Wells comes to the plate again and gets a hanging changeup, and he rips an RBI double the other way to make it 10-4 Yankees. So offensively, it was a great night. Torres finishes 3 for 5 with an RBI. Soto 1 for 2, 3 walks. Judge 2 for 4, an RBI, a walk. Wells 2 for 5, a double, a home run, 4 RBIs. Cabrera 1 for 3 with a double and a walk. He also played shortstop in this game with Volpe getting a day off. Verdugo goes 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a home run. Dominguez goes 1 for 4 with a stolen base, a run scored. He played center field in this game. Judge DH'd and Stanton did not play. That was game 1. Again, a 10-4 victory for the Yankees. Game 2 was a tough watch. This was Tuesday. The Yankees took a 5-0 loss to the Royals. You have the righty Marcus Stroman going up against the righty Seth Lugo. Stroman went 5 1/3, 3 runs, 9 base runners in 5 1/3 innings. 7 hits, 2 walks, struck out 4, didn't allow a home run, 89 pitches thrown, and he got the loss. I mean, he wasn't good. The line doesn't look horrible, but he wasn't good. Just tons and tons of hangers. A lot of hangers with those breaking balls. Top of the 3rd, he hangs a breaking ball to the leadoff hitter, Isbell, who picks up a single. Pham moves him to second base with a 6-3 ground out. And then he hangs a breaking ball to Bobby Witt, who picks up an RBI base hit to put KC up 1-0. Salvi comes to the plate. He hangs another breaking ball to him. RBI single, 2-0 KC. Top of the 5th, Isbell picks up a leadoff base hit, and then Salvi with a 2-out RBI single, 3-0 KC. So he went out there for the 6th inning. Walks Massey with the 1 out. With 1 out, he walks Massey. I don't know how to pronounce the fucker's name. I keep forgetting. And then he was pulled. So that's his final line. 5 1/3, 3 runs, 89 pitches, 32 sinkers, 21 slurve, 19 cutter, 7 curve, 5 splitter, 3 slider, 2 four-seam fastball. The slurve in this game was hit around. He hung it a ton, like I just said. That was a bad pitch for him. The splitter was probably his best pitch. He only threw 5, but he got swings and misses, to lefties on it. I thought he should have went to it a lot more. But my opinion on Marcus Stroman remains the same. I love the guy. He's had a decent season, but I still don't want him anywhere on the playoff roster. At least not in the rotation, at least. You can't nibble all the time. You're not going to be able to nibble like that against a postseason lineup. He's got very underwhelming stuff. There's not much movement. There's no velocity. It's very easy to barrel anything near the zone when Stroman's pitching, So maybe you use him as a number 4 pitcher in the playoffs. You let him go one time through the order, and then you piggyback somebody for the next 4 or 5 innings. But I would prefer, if it comes down to Clark Schmidt getting a roster spot, putting him, he's going to be on that roster. I would prefer Schmidt being that number 4 starter, I think you go Cole, Rodon, Heel, and then Schmidt if you have to. If you need a number 4. I don't want Stroman there. I love the guy. I appreciate what he's done. I love the energy he has. I like how he's kind of got a chip on his shoulder. I love all that on him. I don't think he's the right guy to be pitching in a postseason for the Yankees. And I don't know if that's going to be the case, because I think the Yankees signed him with the idea that he's going to help him in the playoffs. But in my opinion, he should be here to just help you get there. Sorry, I have a little bit of a runny nose today. The bullpen goes 3 2/3. Leiter pitched an inning and 2/3. Of course, gave up his run, 2 hits. It was one of them a solo home run in the top of the 7th to Pham. Hangs a sinker, and it's 4-0 KC at the time. Meza pitched after that, 2 innings, 1 run, 2 hits, top of the 8th inning. Leadoff base hit to Renfroe after a 7-pitch at-bat. But in the middle of the at-bat, Blanco, who's the pinch runner, steals second, steals third. And so with him on third base, Garcia comes to the plate, hits a fly ball, gets the sac fly to make it 5-0 KC. So the Yankee bats didn't do a single thing. No runs, 3 hits, no extra base hits, no walks to 14 strikeouts. They did not even get into scoring position. They were 0 for 0. And it was ironic because this was the death lineup, right? This was the October lineup they had out there. This was their best lineup of the season. Everybody was out there. The order was perfect. This is the lineup you're going to see on October 5th when they win the division, if they win the division. They put that lineup out there, and ironically, they put together their worst offensive performance of the season. They were completely off kilter. Seth Lugo dominated them. 7 innings, no runs, 3 hits. As soon as he left the Mets and he was allowed to start, he's showing everybody why. He has a really deep bag to where he can mix and match with about, I think they said 9 different pitches. And he was doing exactly that. He kept the Yankees off balance, kept them guessing. He was working quickly and throwing strikes. He doesn't throw really hard, but he spins the ball very well. And you have that. And then you take into account that deep arsenal of pitches, a great pitch mix. He's going to pitch well. And he just had the Yankees pounding weak grounders into the dirt, hitting weak fly balls. There was one point where he retired 17 Yankees in a row. Torres was the only offense going 2 for 4. Leadoff base hit in the first inning. He was stranded. Soto strikes out on a cutter, foul tipping it. Judge strikes out, swinging on top of a curve. Wells, 4-3 ground ball out. Bottom 6, Torres, a 2-out base hit, but he's stranded when Soto flies out to left field. Bottom 7, Wells, a 1-out single. He's stranded. Stanton flies out on 2 pitches, and then Jazz Chisholm strikes out on a curveball in the dirt. 0 hits on the Kansas City bullpen in 2 innings. So that was it. Torres 2 hits, Wells 1 hit, everybody else hitless. That was game 2. Let's get to game 3. Game 3 was a little more positive. The Yankees won this in 11 innings, 4-3. You had the righty Heel going up against the lefty Reagans. Heel goes 5 innings, 1 run, 5 hits, couple walks, 5 strikeouts, 1 home run, 97 pitches, and the no decision. Of the 97 pitches, 44 four-seamer, 33 slider, 20 changeup. The four-seamer velocity was a lot better. It was not all the way back, but it was better. It was back up a little bit. The slider again, that's like jumped the changeup in the pecking order this year. I think on the season, the percentage that he's throwing the slider is now even with the changeup, or a tad below. But you look at his last like 8-9 starts, like the second half of his season, he's gone slider heavy. He left it up in the zone a lot in this game. Kind of like his last start, his slider command wasn't great. He lucked out to Pham with a fly ball on it when he left it up in the first inning. He threw the slider and he left it up in the zone to Witt. That allowed that first inning double. To Fermin, he got the strikeout in the end there at the of the first inning. He struck out Fermin. It was on a slider up in the zone. And then he lucked out to Frazier when he left the slider up. Frazier lines out hard in the second inning. So it wasn't a great pitch for him in this game, but he got away with it. He was going off speed a lot early on in the game just because he could not find the zone. His control was totally off with his fastball. His fastball was everywhere in that first inning, but he escapes the jam by, again, striking out Fermin and then getting a ground ball to first base after that. So the only damage came in the top of the fourth. You had the solo home run allowed, 95-mile-an-hour fastball up in the zone. You can't do that. If it's only 95, you can't leave that in the zone. It was after a 9-pitch at bat, so I get it, but it put the Royals up 1-0 at the time. But at the end of the day, Luis Gil continues to get the damn job done, right? 5 innings, 1 run. He'll take that. In his return, he's now gone 11 innings, 6 hits, 1 run. So on the season, he's 13-6 with a 3.18 ERA across 135 2/3 innings, where he's striking out 156 batters. So he's been awesome. Kind of interesting how he's like not talked about as much in the American League Rookie of the Year race. Austin Wells has a lot to do with that, who we'll talk about in a second. But Luis Gil's been fantastic, and I feel like he doesn't get enough respect from Yankees fans. Every time I hear his name regarding the bullpen, it kind of pisses me off. Every time I hear his name and people start talking about his first half, that kind of pisses me off too, because he's been really good in the second half. He's been really good. He's had a consistent season. Look at the fucking game log. But the bullpen goes 6 innings after this because it went to extras. Tim Hill was the first in relief. He pitches a scoreless inning in the 6th inning, just 1 hit. Got some help from his defense. Jazz Chisholm made a great play, a couple line outs. Clay Holmes pitched the 7th inning, 1 inning, 1 run, 2 hits, got his 12th blown save of the season. So he comes in off the closer role, and 2 appearances later still manages to pick up a blown save, his 12th. So, yeah, that happened. It was at the top of the 7th. The Yanks are up 2-1. He leaves a sinker up in the zone to Isabel, leadoff base hit. He leaves another sinker up in the zone to Tommy Pham, leadoff base hit, first and second, no outs. Bobby Witt comes to the plate. He lines out to right field. Isbell goes to third base. And then Salvi Perez takes the plate, leaves another sinker up in the zone, hits a fly ball to the outfield, picks up a sac fly to tie the game at 2. Save is blown. Should Boone have avoided using Holmes there in that high leverage of a situation? Maybe he's better in lower leverage. That was kind of the point of taking him off the 9th inning. But at the same time, they're trying to find different lanes for him. They're trying to find a lane for Clay Holmes right now, and he's trying it. He went with the 8th the other night. Now he's going to the 7th in a tie game. I'm not going to crush Boone for that. They're just trying to find a window here. Canely pitched after that, an inning, no runs, a strikeout. He got the 8th, got some big outs, went wild on the mound after that, of course, fell down. But after him, it was Jake Cousins, who pitched an inning and a third, allowed 1 run on 2 walks. He pitched the 9th inning, and then he pitched to 2 batters in the 10th inning, got 1 out. Top of the 10th, the game's tied. Salvi picks up the 1-out walk. He throws in 4 consecutive balls. 3 of them were sliders. Just couldn't find the zone with that slider. And then in the middle of this at-bat, that's when you had Blanco steal third base, and then Cousins throws a wild slider that gets by Trevino. Blanco scores off that wild pitch, and that's when KC takes a 3-2 lead in the top of the 10th. But he did get some huge outs. You know, he had the slider to get Witt. He obviously had that quick pickoff move to get Pham. That's impressive from a right-handed pitcher to be able to get Tommy Pham like that on first base. That was impressive. And then Luke Weaver, you know, an inning and 2/3, no runs, 3 strikeouts. He pitched most of the 10th inning, and then he pitched all the 11th inning. We will definitely talk about him too. The Yankee bats, 4 runs on 6 hits, 5 singles, 5 walks, 9 strikeouts. They were 1 for 3 with runners in scoring position. Against Reagan's, better than I thought. Not good, but better than I thought, especially with the lineup they threw out there. 2 runs in 6 innings against Reagan's. They got those 2 runs in the bottom of the 6th at the very end of his outing, where Soto fouls a ball off his foot. The season almost died right there. I think everybody in their mind was hoping, don't tell me he's going to break his foot with less than a half month until the postseason begins. Fuck, man. That would have been so terrible. I was just thinking everything terrible at the moment. He falls it. He's like on the ground for a couple minutes, you know, time slowed down. I was just thinking there's no way that God is going to do this to us. And he gets up, and the very next pitch on 1 foot, he crushes a 2-run bomb into the Bronx sky and puts the Yankees up 2-1. So the story of Juan Soto's Yankees career right there, just being a hero. Good to see him hit a bomb. He's been slumping a little bit too. But he puts the Yanks up 2-1 the 6th. And then against the bullpen, the Yankees get 2 runs on that Kansas City bullpen across 4 1/3. You know, bottom of the 10th comes. Casey's up 3-2. Cabrera's sack bunt. A bad sack bunt. It pops up and ends up dropping in between the pitcher and third base. Volpe gets to third. And then Wells comes to the plate. So shout out to Aaron Boone for pinch hitting Wells versus the lefty here. Instead of sticking with Trevino going righty on lefty, he allows Austin Wells to go lefty on lefty here. And Austin Wells does his job. He drives a fly ball to the outfield, picks up the sac fly to tie the game at 3. So shout out to Boone. Bottom of the 11th with the game tied. Soto hits a 6-3 ground out off Bubic, moves John Birdie to third base, and then Judge gets intentionally walked. He takes second on defensive indifference. So you got second and third, 1 out. Jazz Chisholm at the plate during this, and he gets a hold of a pitch outside. He goes with it, and he picks up a ground ball, walk-off infield single. Bobby Witt makes a bad throw home, kind of going to his right sidearm throw home. Ball's not on line, and Birdie comes in to score, and the Yankees win 4-3. So, good walk-off win. How, funny is it that we were just talking about for about 5 minutes on our last episode about how the Yankees have been terrible mounting rallies, and I think we specifically talked about how they don't have many walk-off wins this year. That was nice to get one. So, good for Jazz Chisholm. And yeah, the Yankee bats, not good in this game, but they do just enough. Soto 1 for 5, home run, 2 RBIs. Judge 1 for 3, couple walks. Jazz 1 for 4, a walk and RBI. Verdugo 1 for 4. Volpe, same thing. Rizzo 1 for 2 with a walk. So that was that. Speaking of Austin Wells, I'm going to pay him my respects. I'm going to salute him and tip the cap that I'm not wearing to Austin Wells. Tip my cap. I think we lowered the volume on that, so you should be good, AirPod wearers. Austin Wells, this series, went 3 for 8, a 375 average, a 1208 OPS, a double, a home run, 5 RBIs, 2 strikeouts, a run scored, 7 total bases across 3 games. I put that in quotes because he didn't play the third game start. But yeah, 2 salutes now on the year. Both of them have come in a row now, back-to-back series. And I gave it to him because he gave the Yankees production in all 3 games. Right? He had the multi-extra base hit game on Monday. He goes 1 for 3 on Tuesday in a game where nobody hit. And then he picked up the sac fly and extras in the rubber game yesterday. So 5 RBIs, 3 hits, 2 extra base hits, all that comes with, 3 less plate appearances than usual because he sat game 3. But he's been getting on base consistently. Now he's just driving in runs a ton lately. So it's good to see that. It's good to see him show some life against left-handed pitching lately, right? Last series, it was at Wrigley against Wicks in the first game of that set. And now you get the RBI off of Bubic in the rubber game here. So good to see that. He's, again, been in conversation to win AL Rookie of the Year. I think he's now the favorite over Colton Cowser. So that's cool. And there's also a conversation about Austin Wells being the best catcher in the MLB, right? I mean, Adley Rutschman's having a down year. If you want to consider Salvador Perez, I know he's not a full-time catcher anymore, but he's still a catcher. I still have him being better than Wells. Contreras is really, really good. The guy in Philly is also really good. So I don't know. I don't consider him the best catcher, but I do consider him the Rookie of the Year, So good for Austin Wells. Tip my cap to him on the season. Those are his numbers. If you're watching the podcast, if you're listening, he's batting .252 on the year with a solid .341 OBP, a decent .437 slugging to give him a very nice .778 OPS. The counting stats are the only thing that holds him back just because he didn't get the consistent reps for most of the season since, the Yankee brass was obsessed with Trevino against lefties. But he's finally starting to play every day. And speaking of playing every day, what really frustrated me when I saw the lineup card yesterday, Dominguez, in the Yankees told us, and the Yankees lie all the time. So it's up in the air on if he's actually going to play every day. But the Yankees told us he's going to play every day. But yesterday, before the game starts, we get the lineup card, and it's a punt lineup. There's no Austin Wells. There's no Jason Dominguez. Jazz Chisholm's batting cleanup. It's a weird lineup. And this is against Reagans, who's one of the better lefty pitchers in the game. But it confused the shit out of everybody because Reagans is a left-handed pitcher, but you're going Verdugo over Dominguez, who's a lefty. Dominguez switch hits. Now, Reagans is a reverse splits guy, so he's better at getting righties. But then if you really want to, bat Dominguez left. You can't just bat Dominguez left. If you're really worried about Dominguez not hitting from the right side of the plate, and you're really worried about Reagan's reverse splits, bat Dominguez left. You really have to sit him 2 days? And it just gets me questioning, all right, is Verdugo going to see left-handed pitching now? Because of, he walks against lefties. Verdugo walks when lefties are on the mound. He walks a little bit. Is John Birdie going to take reps away versus left-handed pitching then? Are they really going to make this Dominguez not great at hitting lefties thing a thing like they did with Wells? Sometimes you just got to stop with the numbers and let young players grow. Let them grow. Let them develop. Let them go through these pains. The sample size is not going to rack up if you don't let it rack up. Let them get experience against their weaknesses so they become strengths eventually. It's okay to go with feel. It's just weird how the Yankees pick and choose certain things, right? They don't obsess over splits with Anthony Volpe. Anthony Volpe, since his debut, has played damn near every single freaking game, right? It got to a point where John Boy had to tell Boone, maybe give him a day, and Boone flipped out. They pick and choose with certain youths. But Cabrera doesn't ever play, despite being a switch hitter, and he's been producing the last 2 months. Wells is finally playing every day. Today was understandable. Yesterday was understandable, right? Because he had been playing every day. Might as well give him the day when there's a lefty on the mound. I can get that. But Peraza gets out of treatment, and then Dominguez is finally up, 10 days too late, plays a couple games. You sit him on the bench, not 3 days later. So it's a little odd to me. It was very frustrating to see that. So I hope and pray and beg that Jason Dominguez is an everyday player here because he needs to be an everyday player if the Yankees want a legitimate shot. He needs to be. So I'll end that right there. I'll make that part short. That's all I want to get off my chest there. He needs to play every day. Let's finish off our saluting and let's tip our cap to Luke Weaver. Let's do that because I thought Luke Weaver deserved it. Luke Weaver, man, 2 2/3 innings this series, no runs, 5 strikeouts, a walk, a hit, which was just one single, 48 pitches, got a hold, picked up a win, and that was across 2 games. He pitched in game 1 on Monday, and he pitched in game 3 on Wednesday. He has been so fun to watch. You know, he now has 8 cap tips on the season. He's just super valuable, man. Luke Weaver is just, I don't know if there's another way I could say it. Luke Weaver he's super valuable, you know, because you don't have to burn arms with him because his high velo fastball and his changeup, which has a ton of fade, allows him to face lefties. You don't have to burn another arm there, you know, because he's a multiple inning pitched guy. He can go 1 inning, an inning and a third, an inning 2/3. He can go 2 innings. You don't have to burn another arm. You can let him go multiple innings. He's just, this is a guy who was used as a starter initially. You know, we all laughed, who the hell is this guy? I couldn't believe he made the roster in camp. Turns out this is another guy who has really good stuff, and Blake has gotten the best of it, you know, and he's been so fun. He's electric out there. His energy is going to be electric in the postseason, you know, and he had great moments. He had really 2 tests. Both games he came in this series were big tests, and he passed the test both times, right? Monday's game, top of the 8th inning, the Yanks are up 7-4. He comes in, he's got 2 guys on, 2 out. He goes 3 straight cutters out of the zone to Garcia, so he's behind 3-0, but then he goes 3 straight 4-seamers, and he gets them swinging. He goes middle up, he goes low, and then he goes middle with the 4-seamer, and he gets him striking out. It was awesome. And then Wednesday, even cooler, right? Top of the 10th inning, the Royals are up 3-2. Salvi's on first base. He goes 2 fastballs to Melendez to get him the fly out, and then he gets Fermin looking with a strikeout. You know, it's a 6-pitch at bat, and he goes all fastballs, and they're all like sitting 96, 97, and he gets him striking out. Top of the 11th, the game's tied. He picks up 2 strikeouts to end the inning. I think it was Paul DeJong. He strikes out swinging on a fastball up, and then Garcia strikes out swinging 5 straight fastballs, and then he goes changeup low. He goes wild in this. I don't know if it was a 10th inning or after the 11th inning when he got the strikeout. He goes wild on the mound. He's just pumping his fists. He's screaming, and that's the energy we need. Telling you, man, Luke Weaver's energy is going to hit different in the postseason. He's one of those guys I'm looking forward to seeing pitch in a playoff. We've mentioned before how Jazz Chisholm's a guy who I think can get the Bronx roaring. Like, it's going to be fun, man, you know. But Luke Weaver's been awesome, and he's a big reason why this bullpen has started to find its footing, man. Listen, it's not been a great bullpen all year. They've had a lot of inconsistencies, but you're seeing now over the last couple weeks, it's the bullpen's starting to solidify. Guys are finding their roles, and you're starting to figure out where certain guys stand in the pecking order, right? I think the core is set. You got your top guns. You got Weaver, Cousins, and Canely. Even Hamilton, right, could be that because Hamilton's stuff looks back. When he pitched on Monday, the high velo was there. He's a guy who has constantly missed barrels for the Yankees. He's been really good. And if he's going to be that guy throwing 97, 98 with that hard 2-seamer, that's a 4th guy. So you can go Weaver, Cousins, Canely, and Hamilton as your top core guys, right? Those are 4 guys right there with swing and miss stuff. Guys who throw hard, pick up a lot of strikeouts, or both. That's what you need. In the back end of your bullpen, you want guys with swing and miss stuff. That's been the Yankees' issue all year, but you're starting to find guys that you can go to. You're healthy. You've got a diamond in the rough in Cousins. Hamilton's healthy. Like, it's looking strong. Those guys have strikeout stuff, and those are all 4 guys who can give you multiple innings if you need to, right? And you got, Clay Holmes still trying to find his new role. That's kind of TBD. Tim Hill, there's your lefty specialist. That's his role. Come in, got the 3/4 sidearm or submarine arm angle, get those ground balls with your 2-mile-an-hour sinker. But that's worked right now. Lefty specialist, right? And remember, with your rotation depth, the Yankees have depth in that rotation. They got a lot of guys there. They can now get creative in their bullpen. They can use those guys in the pen. They have a lot of options. So this bullpen is starting to find itself. There's still upside there to where it can become a strength. And you look at the other side, this lineup it's crazy what one guy can do, right? And, you're getting some production from Torres now, and that's just, Dominguez is here. It's crazy. Call up one guy, and it just looks a lot better. And that lineup that we saw on Tuesday, that's going to be the lineup you see on October 5th if the Yankees are playing game 1 of the division series, right? You got Torres leading off at second base, Soto second in right field, Judge third in center field, Wells fourth, your cleanup hitter at catcher, Stanton the DH batting fifth, batting sixth. I think they had Jazz at third base, and then Dominguez was seventh in left field, Rizzo eighth at first base, and then Volpe ninth at shortstop. So that's the death lineup. That's the lineup you're going to see. And it's such a balanced lineup, right? You have lefty, righty, switch. You've got youths and vets, a good blend there. You have power. You've got some contact. You have more speed now there, right? You got Volpe. You got Dominguez. You got Jazz Chisholm. You got runners in there. You have star power, obviously, at 2 and 3. You have depth, right? So after Judge and Soto, you still have production. Torres has been hitting. Stanton's been very streaky. That's who he is. But he's been productive this year. Jazz has been nothing but productive since coming over. Austin Wells, again, rookie of the year. Like, you got production. Dominguez is now here. That's depth. You have depth in the lineup. So it's good. It's a good thing. People complain so much on Twitter, man. I was talking to one of my, good followers on Twitter, complaining this team has too many holes. No, they don't. They don't. I think Yankees fans just expect stars everywhere. They have no more holes than any other contender. They have a hole at first base. Yes. They have a hole at shortstop. Yes. Second base has been average. Average. Gleyber Torres has gotten his production to be slightly below average. Everybody else, every other spot has been fine. Center field has been great. Right field's been great. Third base is now great. Left field has now become a strength with Dominguez. There's upside there. Catcher's been great. What are we talking about? There's a couple holes. So be it. DJ LeMahieu's not going to play in the postseason. There's a couple holes, just like every team. You're not going to get production on all 9 spots. That's not realistic. There's going to be some holes. That's how that works. The Yanks have enough depth here. When you have Mantle and Maris, Ruth and Gehrig, whatever you want to call it, you don't need Murderers Row 1 to 9. You've got enough depth. I'm not worried about that. So I am really high on this lineup. I think it's the most balanced lineup we've seen in a long time. You can argue that, was it 2021 or whatever year it was where they won 103 games? Close, but I think there's just more depth here. This is exciting for me. So in a weak American League, this lineup compared to what they can do with the rotation and bullpen, it's got a chance to come out, man. They've got a chance to come out of the American League. I'll say that. So that's all on this series. Coming up next, we have Boston. So the Red Sox coming to town into the Bronx, a 4-game home set in the Bronx. We haven't had a 4-game series in a while. But Boston is a bad team, but they always play the Yankees tough. You got to throw that out the window. Cora obviously has these guys fired up, and they've given the Yankees some problems this year. I think the Yankees did win the last series these two teams met. But it's going to be tough nonetheless. I think tonight you have Cortez going up against Criswell, who's had a solid season. Friday, you have Schmidt versus Tanner Houck, who's had a good season. Saturday, you got Cole versus Brian Bayo. That's a 1 p.m. game. And then Sunday, Rodon versus Cutter Crawford, 1:30 p.m. game. That game, you could see a lot of offense. There could be a lot of home runs in that game with both starting pitchers prone to giving up bombs. But, Yankees-Boston always goes very interestingly. There's usually a lot of offense. It's usually close. But this is the Yankees' chance, right? With Baltimore off today, the Yankees playing a team that, on paper they should beat. this is their chance to finally take advantage. They're a game and a half up right now. Baltimore's off today, and then they go into a weekend set in Detroit to play the Tigers. The Tigers have been hot. They're riding a 4-game win streak. They've won 7 out of 10. This is the Yankees' chance. I mean, we keep saying that, and they never take advantage, and I have a feeling they're not going to take advantage, and it's still going to be either a game and a half, a game, or a half game, either direction after this series. But, like, you know, at some point, you hope they could pull away and do something here. So we'll see. We will definitely see. That's it. We'll end it here. We'll get to break, and then once we get back from break, we'll wrap this up with our trivia question, and that will be that. Stay with us here on episode 709 of BD4. We'll be back in a minute.
You can follow us on social media as well. On Instagram, we're at BD4Pod and at Rob J. Carbone. On X, we're at BD4Pod and at RJCBD4. And on Facebook, we're BD4. If you're interested in our website, just go to www.bd4blog.com. You can subscribe to our blog on there right on the front page. Just like on the podcast, we cover Yankees, Knicks, and MMA. Also on our website are the links to the different platforms for the podcast. Thanks so much.
Studio 69 Productions is a podcast production agency created by Leo Rodriguez to allow content creators to market their podcast. It's an online platform that will market your podcast or any other project that you're working on. Get in touch with Leo Rodriguez from Studio 69 Productions. You can find Studio 69 Productions on Instagram at Studio69NJ. Studio 69 Productions, where dreams are heard and born.
Thanks for listening to BD4, where there is no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. We also do MMA, Yanks every series, Knicks every game, and MMA on occasion.
All right, let's get to our trivia. Excuse me. Okay. In this What the fuck? Wow. I'm all over the place today. I'm like, I got the sniffles. I'm stuttering. It's because I had so much coffee. Here's our trivia. Our trivia for episode 709 here. In 1961, which Yankees lefty set the team record for 4 pinch hit home runs with 4? All right. In 1961, which Yankees lefty set the team record for pinch hit home runs with 4? All right. One final time here on episode 709, our trivia question. In episode, Jesus Christ. In 1961, which Yankees lefty set the team record for pinch hit home runs with 4? All right. So let me know the answer. Wherever you can reach me, if you get the answer correct, I'll give you a shout out in the next episode. Folks, that's all we got. That's all we got. The Yanks promote the Martian. They beat the Royals. So, good series. Yes, of course, I've got my concerns with this team. But I think things are finally starting to shape up to where you could see the upside. There is some positive here with this team, despite what the angry Twitter folk say. And I can be one of those people sometimes. You know, maybe a little more than sometimes. But I see it. I see the upside. So I'm going to bank on, I'm going to try to be positive. I'm trying. Episode 709. That's it, folks. Appreciate you all tuning in. I'll see you in the next show. This episode was brought to you by Anchor.
Hey there! If you stayed the entire way through, we thank you immensely for it. We hope you enjoyed this podcast and that you come back for the next episode real soon. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, download these episodes, and share them with your friends as well. BD4 is a 5-star podcast simply because of you, and we'd like to keep it that way. Have a wonderful day. Go Yankees, and go Knicks!